Welcome to Burgundy.
We have a saying in the wine world, all roads lead to Burgundy, or as you'd say in French, Bourgogne. And well, I'm here. It's the end-all be-all of wine regions. The Pinot Noirs and Chardonnays from Bourgogne are heralded as the best version of these grapes that money can buy. No region is more storied, more studied, or more sought after. And while this area in France has a rich history worthy of exploration, there's also a young generation of winemakers with a keen eye on the future. Bourgogne produces the most famous and expensive wines in existence, but that's only part of the story, and I'm here to uncover the rest. Let's find out why the planet's most famed wine region captivates the hearts and minds of sommeliers, collectors, investors, and normal consumers alike. Welcome to Bourgogne, and welcome to V is for Vino. From Paris, it's just a 3-hour car or train ride to the Bourgogne wine region, which is a 140-mile north-to-south stretch on the east side of France. In the center of Bourgogne is the charming medieval city of Beaune, which will be our home base as we explore.
Behind me is the Hospice de Beaune, a historic hospital complex founded in the 1400s, but today operates as a museum noted for its Burgundian Flemish architecture. But more relevant to our conversation, it's home to the annual Hospice de Beaune wine auction, the highlight of the year for the Bourgogne region. It's a huge weekend-long gala and festival in the fall, where the most famous winemakers in the world donate barrels of wine to support various charitable causes. Tourists flood Beaune during this time for a chance to taste the wines, explore the city, and sightsee. Things we'll be doing while we're here too. But the true allure of this region lies just outside of Beaune, within the vineyards that surround it. It's in these vineyards where we can truly begin to explore the Bourgogne wine industry, which has a history unlike any other.
Part of what makes Bourgogne such a prestigious region is the people who shaped it. The Romans recognized its potential over 2,000 years ago and planted vines here in the 1st century AD. During the Middle Ages, vineyards were mostly managed by Cistercian and Benedictine monks, who were crucial to the development and documentation of vineyard plots, as well as viticultural and cellar practices. We're going to talk more about them later. Between the 9th and 15th centuries, during the feudalism of the Middle Ages, large plots of vineyard land began fragmenting amongst noble families, and different climats, or vineyard areas, started to take shape. Around this time, the wines also began gaining a favorable reputation amongst the lords and ladies of the era, namely the Dukes of Bourgogne, and the wines became synonymous with refined tastes and luxury. Enter Napoleon, the Emperor of France. In 1804, he introduced the Napoleonic Code, which broke up these feudal estates. You see, before this, these climats were difficult to buy, sell, or inherit. They were simply given to your eldest son. But after the Napoleonic Code, it was mandated that your vineyard land would be split evenly amongst your heirs. Sounds like a fair idea until 200 years go by and you've got plots that have been fractured so many times that some people end up only owning a few rows of vines. The famous 125-acre vineyard, Clos de Vougeot, for instance, has at times had more than 80 owners, most of whom didn't own a large enough piece of land to produce enough wine to create a business. To solve this, there are entities called cooperatives and negociants, which pool grapes from multiple vineyard owners so that enough wine can be produced to, have it make sense to sell.
The modern era has seen the wines of Bourgogne reach a level of stratospheric fame that I'm sure those 15th century monks had never even imagined. But none of this happens without one thing in the first place: incredible wine. So welcome to Bourgogne Wine 101, and conveniently, it's a simple course. You ready? For the most part, Bourgogne makes 2 grapes: Pinot Noir for red and Chardonnay for white. For one of the most complex wine regions in the world, learning its grape varieties is remarkably easy. What makes the region worthy of full-on college dissertations, on the other hand, is its geography.
Bourgogne is small by global standards, especially compared to other regions with similar levels of fame. At 79,000 acres, it's smaller than Napa, Tuscany, and only a quarter the size of its French counterpart Bordeaux. But Bourgogne punches above its weight. Despite producing only 3.4% of AOC wine from France, it generates an astonishing 24% of AOC wine revenue. Much of this is due to its extraordinary soil. 150 to 180 million year old Jurassic period subsoils full of marine limestone, clay, and marl, to be exact. And while I'd like to say that Bourgogne has a favorable, easygoing, wine-growing climate, that would be a lie. In fact, Bourgogne has some of the most challenging weather for producing wine in the world. Because it's landlocked, vintages can be inconsistent, frost and hail isn't uncommon, the cool climate can make it tough to ripen grapes, and humidity can lead to rot on the vines. So how do some of the most transcendent wines on the planet come from here? Well, enologists have studied this region for so long, they know how to manage this land and mitigate these factors. Frost prevention, hail protection, disease management, and timing the harvest, all in a day's work for a Bourgogne winemaker.
And through this Herculean effort comes some of the world's most pure, intriguing, perplexing, and exalted wines. Because while stressful conditions may make vine growing more difficult, stress on the vines also produces better grapes, similar to how stress on muscles produces bigger biceps. Oh, and by the way, you've probably noticed me calling this region Bourgogne, not Burgundy, the English translation. This is because you'll never see the word Burgundy on a wine label. It's always going to say Bourgogne, how it's said in French. Furthermore, for some strange reason, it's the only French wine region we started translating in the first place. We don't translate Bordeaux, Loire, or Champagne, for example. So to avoid confusion and break bad habits, I'm sticking with Bourgogne.
One last tidbit to head off some controversy. The French would actually pronounce this word Bourgogne, or sometimes Bourgogne, dropping the last syllable instead of saying the English pronunciation Bourgogne. This is the equivalent of saying Paris instead of Paris, or croissant instead of croissant. Both are correct, it just depends what your foreign language pronunciation philosophy entails.
And now, if you'll excuse me, je dois aller déjeuner. Okay, I am at the Beaune Market and I've got €50. Let's see if we can find some fun things to spend it on. I think snack sausage, just an appetizer. Need something while I think about what else I'm gonna get, you know? Sure, thank you. Cameraman?
Thank you.
Oh, that was good. Ooh, those are pretty. Bonjour, madame. S'il vous plaît. This is a canal. A little crusty on the outside. I'll try. I like that all the desserts in France are not super sweet. They're just sweet enough. Whoa, look at the bees. Look at these olives. I mean, I'm not like in the market for olives right now, but this is pretty. Look at the way the light hits the olives, Francisco. That's a dream. Can I? Thank you. This is a busy market. It's good, it's lively. Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna get a chicken sandwich. That looks pretty good. Bonjour. S'il vous plaît, sandwich? Look at that. She took the onions that she cooked with the chicken jus on top, potatoes. Oh yeah. Oh no!
You may remember when I was in Bordeaux, I visited the Cité du Vin, or wine museum. Well, not to be outdone by their chief rival, Bourgogne has not one, but 3 Cité des Climats, or climate museums scattered across the region. So in the Beaune location, I met Laurent Delaunay, the chairman of the Bourgogne Wine Board, to lead me on a tour.
Climat is what you would call a terroir. A terroir means a local place, very limited with its culture, its history, but also its geology, microclimate, and so on, all what make a very little place so special. It's a concept, and you know that in France we love concepts.
Yeah. Terroir is a concept, right? You can't touch terroir, but you know it, and Crémant is very similar. It is the imaginary borders of a place. It's a plot of land, but it's everything that encompasses that place.
Absolutely.
And this museum is made to kind of pay homage to that?
Pay homage and especially really introduce what this concept is to the public.
And you guys do a lot of great work here to kind of promote the region.
That's also a reason why it was so important for us, because so far we did not have really one place to explain what really Bourgogne and its specificities such as the terroir, the climat are.
Should we go in and see?
I can't wait. We start first with the geology and the origin of our kind of soil, which is made of limestone. That's our common link from Chablis in the north to Mâconnais in the south. That's the magic.
That's the magic.
What you can see here first explains how the limestone was made hundreds of millions of years ago.
This basically was an underwater ocean, right? This is all underwater.
Yeah.
You have 2 grapes here that do a great job of extracting that terroir.
You're right, the 2 main are Chardonnay and Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that on a limestone soil, that's where they give their best results.
What I like about this, you were coming to Bourgogne for the first time. This is a great way to get introduced to it. You come here first, you see a little history, you see a little geography, you learn about it, and then you can go out and explore the region with a bit more knowledge.
Exactly the goal of it.
We continued the tour, and I was impressed by one exhibit after the next.
This is cool.
I liked this one.
Amazing.
And I liked that one.
Actually,
I love this.
They even had a smell station, just like the other museum, but instead of single aromas, they were bouquets or multiple aromas.
Oh, and even, this is even cooler because it says which villages or which plots are known for these specific flavors.
We finished with a little tasting.
Santé. Welcome to Bourgogne and welcome to the Cité des Climats et des Vins.
And then it was time to head upstairs.
We want to go to lunch and try some of your wines, yeah?
Yes.
Let's do it.
With great pleasure. Let's do it.
Laurent and his daughter Jeanne are also winemakers, so I thought it would be prudent to taste some of their wine over lunch at the museum restaurant, Beaune Market. It's only polite, right?
Our winery was created by my great-great-grandfather. I am the 5th generation, and Jeanne, my daughter, is number 6.
Generation, yeah.
And she just joined us last year.
In general here, a lot of family wineries, almost everywhere you go.
Lots of history. I know some families who have been making wines in Bourgogne for 15 generations.
Wow.
Do you imagine that? So this is a Chardonnay. Charmant is the name of the family chateau where we live.
Absolutely beautiful. The nose is this great combination of stone fruit, white flower, and mineral. Incredibly juicy. Great integrated acidity. A lot of people have a sense that Chardonnay is not a fresh wine, that it's flabby, it's rich, it's really weighty. This is medium-bodied, beautiful acidity, very fresh. It has this vibrancy that you don't find from Chardonnays in warmer climates.
And the Chardonnay is really one of the grapes that really adapts to the terroir and the climate where it's grown.
The tofu of the wine world, it's very influenced by, where it comes from and the winemaker. The winemaker hand, once it gets there, it is kind of very versatile.
For our pairing, the chef brought out a river trout tartare, the ingredients of which are actually certified as local to the Côte d'Or, which he explained is important to him because it allows him to reduce the carbon footprint of the restaurant.
One of the beauties of Haute Côte d'Or wines, they're pretty affordable, $29 a bottle.
Yeah. You know, Bourgogne has this reputation for being very, very expensive. And listen, that exists, but that is a very accessible bottle.
This Chardonnay's acid cut through the fatty fish, matched the acid of the citrus in the tartare, matched the weight of the dish, and since it was all local, we can say if it grows together, it goes together.
What do you think keeps Bourgogne as one of the best wine regions in the world?
It's a world-known region, but very small in terms of size. So there is a kind of know-how in the families and in the viticulture in general.
For a very complex region, there's only 2 grapes, really, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir.
Most of the time.
There's some other ones sprinkled in.
It's a 90, almost 95% Pinot Noir and Chardonnay.
Exactly.
And so you have a Pinot here, yeah?
So this is a Nuit Saint-Georges. Nuit Saint-Georges is our village. Our family is originating from Nuit Saint-Georges, a little like our signature wine for us.
Pinot Noir in general maybe has a reputation as being a lighter style of wine. And this isn't a heavy wine, but it is a meaty wine. I mean, it's still very elegant, but it's such a different expression than maybe what people might associate with Pinot Noir, but I can find 100 different styles in Bourgogne.
You're totally right. Hundreds.
I don't have to go 60 miles that way. I can go one plot over and get a wildly different expression of the wine.
This is what is interesting in Bourgogne, what we call climat. One plot to another, the wine can be totally different.
You're 6th generation now. You said there's families that go back 15 generations.
I was not sure if I wanted to really work and make my whole life working in wine. I did some internship to really know. Finally, I really loved it.
I don't know anybody who really felt obligated to take over.
The next course was sous vide chicken with pan sauce, with foraged mushrooms and potatoes.
The other classic Pinot Noir pairing, anything with mushroom and Pinot Noir, I say is pretty perfect.
No mistake.
Besides the acid in the Pinot cutting through the rich, salty pan sauce, we again were matching the weight of the dish. The ingredients were all local, and as I said earlier, earthy Pinot Noir and earthy mushrooms match flavors and are a classic pairing.
Hey, thank you guys for sharing a bit of your family story, family history. What good is history if nobody's preserving it? And you're doing a great job actually both with your winery, but also with the museum, documenting and telling those stories. So I think it's really great.
Vince, it's a pleasure to meet with you.
Thank you very much.
Honor to try your wines.
How great to see a father-daughter team working together to continue their family legacy through wine. And now that I had been thoroughly introduced to the region, it was time to head out and go exploring.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the episode. I wanted to talk to you briefly about Vino VIP. You see, we're a small team. There we are. We're not backed by a big studio or corporation. We rely on sponsorships and our fans to help us grow and continue to create content. So we started Vino VIP, our membership-only club, which is full of a ton of amazing benefits, almost all of which are virtual, by the way, which means you can join from anywhere in the world. Things like early ad-free access to all our videos, virtual Zoom hangouts with me, members-only content, your name in the credits, monthly raffles and discounts, and access to our Facebook community so you can meet other members and get travel and wine tips. But most importantly, you get my gratitude because you're supporting the show and you're helping our small business and crew make content that we pledge will always be free and accessible, because that's our mission. Membership starts at just $5 a month, which is less than the price of your morning latte. So if this show has brought you value, please head to viasorvino.com to sign up for Vino VIP if you have the means. And now, back to the episode.
It felt apt to start my exploration to this iconic region with a celebration. Crémant de Bourgogne is the traditional method sparkling wine that's made here, and it's the forgotten hero of the area. So I met Manon Dumais from Maison Paul Chollet at a quintessentially French institution, a fromagerie or cheese shop, to have some cheese and bubbles. Alain Hess in downtown Beaune may be the greatest temple to cheese I've been to, and cheesemonger Valentin made sure to take good care of us.
We can start by the Bria Savarin. Do you like truffle or do you prefer?
Truffle.
Okay.
Who doesn't like truffle?
Époisses, it's considered like the best cheese in the world. They win the competition a few months ago.
Well, I have to try the best
so
cheese in the world.
So you should try that.
How about this one with the flowers? Did you mention that one?
Yes.
Is good. I love a good like the Alpenblossom is one of my favorite. I like floral cheeses. Comté is one of my favorite.
Okay.
So that would
you have
be,
many favorites, no?
I guess I need to hone in my favorites. Look at that.
Yeah, that's fine?
Yeah.
Okay, super.
Crew, get excited because you're gonna get some too.
We head down to the basement cellar, which was impressive in its own right, for our tasting.
This is quite exciting for two reasons. Obviously, the cheese is wonderful. But if you're in the know, you know that Bourgogne makes sparkling wine in the traditional method, just like champagne, for a much better value. So this is your family winery, right?
My dad is the 7th generation and I'm the 8th one. So the first one you can try, it's Crémant de Bourgogne Blanc de Blanc.
If somebody asked you, what's the difference between Crémant de Bourgogne
and Champagne, what would you say?
We don't work too much with the reserve wine, so we can add a little bit of older wine, but that's not usual.
What Champagne does is, like you said, they use reserve wine, they blend it from the previous year to make a consistent product every year. Yes. But that's not the mentality of a Bourgogne winemaker.
Oh, no.
That's like blasphemy. It's like, no, we don't want it to be the same. We want it to be different so that it shows off that year. So I think that's really interesting. Beautiful floral and citrus and brioche on the nose. Those super tight bubbles, just like we would associate with any traditional method wine, right?
You can have a floral aroma and also light fruits, delicate. The second one, Blanc de Noir, only Pinot Noir, but you can add Gamay too in the AOP choice. But this one, it's only Pinot.
Wow. And wildly different nose, and that's why I wanted to do them side by side.
Yes.
Has much deeper, darker flavor. You get some of those cherry flavors, but you also get a different earth character that doesn't come through on this. This is delicious.
So the last one, it's a blend of the two grapes, Cuvée Manon.
That's you.
It's my name. So the Chardonnay is from Beaune, and the Pinot Noir is from Volnay.
We try the Chardonnay on its own, we try the Pinot Noir on its own, and now you try the blends and you see what they do together. And as you would expect, this one has a little bit of what we love about both. If this is maybe a little more rich and weighty, and this is more linear, this does strike right in the middle. The nice thing about these wines is that they kind of pair with everything.
We can do a complete lunch or dinner with Crémant de Bourgogne.
Yeah, and that's the thing I tell people. If you're gonna go to a dinner party and you don't know what they're cooking, just bring some Crémant and you're done, because you won't go wrong no matter what they're making.
And not too heavy.
It acts as a palate cleanser. All right, and then this.
Époisses.
It's pretty funky, right?
It's very strong.
Very strong.
Very strong.
Do you typically put it on bread or do you just eat it straight?
Oh yes, for me it's with bread, but
with bread.
You can eat it straight if you're not afraid.
I'm not it sounds like a challenge. You know what?
This one is perfect.
It is perfect. Okay, and the finish it comes in. But it is
a good one. It's long in the middle.
It's very, that's what I'm saying, it's very long. This is a cheese that has layers. Like you have the first bite and you're like, oh, okay, it comes with fruit. And then on the finish, it comes in with some of that stronger funk character. Yeah, salty.
But don't forget it in your fridge like 2 weeks too late.
Yeah.
Because after it's over.
This is like one of the favorite things I've ever done on the show. And this is something that people could easily recreate at home and get these 3 bottles and these cheeses and make a night of it. Cheese and wine with a local winemaker at a local shop. Simple, unassuming, and yet perfect. This to me is Bourgogne. Like this kind of vibe. It's the stone, the wood, it's warm, you got the fire going, it smells almost like a mountain cabin, and it's all just like homey local dishes. And the cool thing about this is the chef and owner, he's also a winemaker, so we get to drink his wines while we have his food. Grows together, goes together. Can't go wrong. Escargot?
Voici, escargot.
Ah.
So my Saint-Romain.
Oh yes, sir. That is delicious.
Okay?
Yep, delicious. Escargot are snails, which don't freak out because they're drowned in parsley and garlic and butter. Here we go. How can anything be bad drowned in parsley and garlic? And with the Chardonnay, it's like...
This is the Murette Chardonnay, white wine, and Petit Crouton, and poached eggs.
Can I ask for more of a Chardonnay?
Chardonnay with Chardonnay.
Chardonnay with Chardonnay. Yeah, so I've never seen a dish like this. That is spectacular. Is that mushroom? What is it, mushroom? Is it, where'd he go? Raisins? So it's like a Chardonnay cream sauce. The sauce itself is bomb, and then you just poach this egg, you get it all mixed in there, and then you just go to town with the bread. And it's hard to describe because I've never had a dish like it. It's so perfect. The acid of the Chardonnay cuts through it and keeps it like you want another bite. Because if you had it just on its own, it's a very rich dish, and then you have a sip of this, cleanse the palate, and then you go back in.
Entrecôte, Charolaise. Charolais, it's a cow from this country. My Chassagne-Montrachet.
Oh yeah, cherries and roses, man. Here's the amazing thing about both Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. We say if you have a good Bourgogne, a good Chard, and a good Pinot, you can pair anything on the planet.
You need the whole stick.
I can try. What are you doing to me?
So you have sweet bread.
Oh, I love sweetbreads.
Good luck.
Super, super tender. Oh my gosh. You don't find them everywhere because there's only so much to go around. That's why it's a delicacy, right? You only get a couple per animal, but it is absolutely delicious. When you come to Bourgogne, go to the Michelin-rated restaurants, but you gotta come to these kind of places when you come to these regions. Have my wife carry me out of here, I guess, is the next step. If you're looking for brevity, neither this segment nor Bourgogne, for that matter, is the place to find it. This is the land of long meals, long wine lists, and even longer books devoted to detailing the region. And while it's not humanly possible for me to fully break down and explain the Bourgogne wine map in the next 5 minutes, at the very least, this will lay the foundation for you to become an amateur Bourgogne cartographer on your own time.
There are 5 areas in Bourgogne. From north to south, they are Chablis and the Grand Cru, which is about 50 miles north of the rest of Bourgogne. Then the Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune, which collectively make what's called the Côte d'Or, Côte Chalonnaise, and Mâconnais. Let's start with Chablis and the Grand Cru, which makes crisp, light, mineral-driven Chardonnay that isn't even in the same universe as the rich, vanilla-y butter bombs of Northern California. One notable outlier in this area is the AOC Saint-Brie, which is primarily a Sauvignon Blanc growing region. Okay, we'll come back to the Côte d'Or, but to the south of it is Côte Chalonnaise, which is like the ambitious younger sibling of Bourgogne with something to prove. Great Pinot Noir and Chardonnay wines are made here, and they're often more affordable than the Côte d'Or wines, if slightly leaner and less polished. The 5 main AOCs here are Rouilly, Givry, Montagny, Mercurey, and Bouzeron. Mercurey is the largest and produces about 2/3 of this area's wine, and Bouzeron is notable because it is made from Aligoté, a lighter-bodied, higher-acid white grape. Further south, Mâconnais is known for its Chardonnays, which tend to be fuller than Chablis, but often not as rich or complex as Côte d'Or. But there are some killer wines here at great values comparatively, especially from the AOCs of Saint-Véran, Viry-Clichy, and most famously, Pouilly-Fuissé. Pouilly-Fuissé wines are riper, and a select few producers can indeed rival some of the greatest wines in the region. In the middle is the Côte d'Or, which includes the Côte de Nuit, known for its Pinot Noir, and the Côte de Beaune, known for both Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Before diving into the map of this area, we need to understand why it's so meticulously detailed.
From the 5th to 15th century, most vineyard land in Bourgogne was bestowed onto the church from the dukes of the region. The caretakers of the land, the monks, were very devoted to studying and analyzing it. Their devotion is shown through the copious amount of data they collected in over 1,000 years. These very monks are credited with being some of the first to recognize the importance of terroir, studying why 2 vineyards just a few feet away from each other could produce such different wines. So by the modern era, the monks had already provided guidelines for creating vineyard or Crémant boundaries and defining which vineyards had the best potential. But it was the establishment of the formal AOC system in the early 1900s that brought their vision to the masses.
The AOC system officially put every Crémant into one of 4 classifications. And while these exist in all 5 Bourgogne areas, we're only going to focus on the Côte d'Or for now, where they're the most well known. 52% of wine is one of these 7 Régionale AOCs, the name of which will appear on the label and are usually the most entry level in terms of quality and price. 37% is village level, which means the grapes are grown around a specific village and usually have a specific village style and are a step up in quality. There are 44 village AOCs, 33 of which are in the Côte d'Or, and the name of the village will appear on the label. Some famous ones are Vosne Romani, known for elegant Pinots, Poligny-Montrachet for minerally Chardonnays, Meursault for rich Chardonnays, Gevrey-Chambertin for powerful Pinots, and Volnay for delicate supple Pinots, though there are dozens more I don't have time to get into here. Next are the 562 Premier Cru vineyards, which account for 10% of production and are specific climats or vineyards within the villages that have superior terroir. Finally, there are 33 Grand Cru. These AOCs account for just 1% of wine production and are so famous they'll only list the vineyard name on the label. Names like Chambertin, Clos de Vougeot, Corton-Charlemagne, La Romanie, La Tâche, Montrachet, and Romani-Conti. These are some of the most famous and pricey wines on the planet, and even us sommeliers are lucky when we get to try these wines.
The good news is that you don't have to break the bank in order to enjoy Bourgogne. 99% of wines here are not Grand Cru. They're simply great wines for any occasion. Don't believe me? Behind me is the village of Pernon-Vergulais, and from here you can actually see all 4 types of Crémant: regional, Pernon-Vergulais Village, Pernon-Vergulais Premier Cru, and Grand Cru Corton, all tucked nicely next to each other. And just because Corton may be out of my reach, a nice regional Côte de Beaune Chardonnay with lunch or a village level Pernon-Vergulais Pinot Noir for dinner is not. If you switch your mentality from tough to understand to fun to explore, you'll see why Bourgogne is the place for wine and knowledge lovers.
Chablis. Part of Bourgogne, yes, but an anomaly. It's 60 miles north of the rest of the region and very cold. It's actually closer to the chilly hills of Champagne than Bourgogne. Now you may ask, why bother making wine in such chilly conditions? The answer is in the esteemed Kimmeridgian soil. This soil contains 150 million year old fossilized marine and oyster shells from back when this whole part of the earth was underwater. Today, it produces some of the greatest Chardonnays on the planet, albeit a much different style of Chardonnay than you may be used to. Third-generation winemaker Yves Grosso, who works with her father at the winery, tells me more.
Now, Chablis is really interesting because it's way up north. I mean, we had to drive over an hour and a half to get up here. It's not only cold, but the weather can be a bit more volatile. Are there other challenges?
It depends of the vintage. Since 5 years, we have many frosts in April.
And sometimes you get hail, right?
Yes, we had a big hailstorm in the beginning of May. A part of the vineyard was very damaged.
So we were talking about the soils, and then you found me a few of these. This is what makes this area special, this Kimmeridgian soil. Those are oysters, right?
Yes.
So, and what it gives to the wine is this very signature salinity and flintiness. Yes. If there's one word for Chablis, it's mineral-driven wines, because we study this, but to see it in person is really special.
For us, it's the character of this vineyard of Chablis, very pure character.
We head to the underground cave below the winemaking facility to do some tasting.
Tell me about this wine. This is your Chablis level wine.
It's our Chablis 22. It's a blend of our parcels of Chablis. The Chablis is only vinified in stainless steel, and we use the natural yeast.
Wow. So the nose is very, very aromatic. Floral and mineral. Those are the 2 things I get. So bright, so mineral driven. And that's why people love these wines, right?
Yes.
Let's take this ground and try and put that into a glass. Is there a lot of vintage variation from year to year?
Sometimes we don't have rain, and sometimes, like this vintage, we have many rain, and it's very, very problematic.
Whatever nature gives you,
yes,
that goes in the glass.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the next level up.
It's the Premier Cru Vaucoupin 22. It's a south exposure and a soil with many limestone and white clay.
This nose has a lot more of that chalk character than,
yes,
than the last wine we had. It smells like when you were in school as a kid.
Yes,
and they would do, yes, this with the chalk. That's what this wine smells like. When you go to the Premier Cru, you get that very famous characteristic. The fruit character on the last wine, same vintage, was maybe in white
peach. This is almost like yellow peach. Just a little bit more.
because of the exposure.
Yeah.
You have the minerality, but you have the fruity aromas of the sun.
And then what we have next to it, 7-year-old wine. Oh my gosh. Wow. This is so wildly different than this.
Yes.
It's so fun. Smoke. They say flint oftentimes. And mushroom on the palate. Wow. Yeah. This is a fun wine.
17 was more classical vintage, and in the aging you have more mushrooms aromas than the mature fruit aromas.
Fruit generally fades anyway with time, right? That's what age does to a wine. What's interesting about this is how the flavor profiles are things that you probably wouldn't associate with Chardonnay from many other places in the world. Chardonnay is so dependent on where it comes from in the winemaker hand, and when you have it in this style, it is completely different than what a lot of people think Chardonnay is in their head. People don't associate Chardonnay with a wine that can age often. They think of, Chenin Blanc, they think of Riesling as ageable white wines. This is an ageable white wine.
You can keep a Premier Cru 10 years without problem.
This was one I was looking forward to. It did not disappoint. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I was starting to see a trend emerging. This was yet another father-daughter team making wines from some of the most coveted plots in the region in their small family winery. Bourgogne was shaping up to be a lot more modest than I expected. So we're in the town of Chablis, which is one of the most famous wine areas of Bourgogne and in the world. And there's all these wineries that I've consumed and studied for years and are very, very famous. And yet, if you didn't know what you were looking for, you'd walk right by it. How cool is this? Francois Ravenel, one of the most famous winemakers on the planet. I'm taller than the door. And there's a whole bunch of them like this in Chablis. These little tiny places that are inconspicuous, and yet some of the most regarded wines on the planet reside within them. Did you know that on our website, each episode has a page where you can find listed all the wines we had, as well as the places we visited. And while you're there, you can join Vino VIP and visit our members-only section with a ton of behind-the-scenes videos and bonus content. Just thought I'd let you know. There is no sentence in the world that breaks a sommelier's heart more than "I don't like Chardonnay." Customers said it to me all the time, but I'm going on record now to say something in response that I never have before. You're wrong. It isn't Chardonnay the grape you don't like. You have a problem with the style of Chardonnay you've tried. You see, Chardonnay is like the tofu of the wine world. It can be anything and is very influenced by the winemaker who creates it. Chardonnay is actually the most widely planted white grape in the world, and it's Bourgogne that made it so famous and in every style imaginable. Sparkling wine? Check. Light, crisp, with screaming acidity, citrus, and salinity from Chablis? Check. Medium-bodied with light oak, balanced acidity, and rich yellow orchard fruits like pear, peach, and apple from Côte Chalonnaise or Mâconnais? Check. Full-bodied, opulent, and oaked with creamy vanilla, toast, minerality, and tropical fruits from the Côte d'Or? Check. And everything in between, including age-worthy wines that turn honeyed, waxy, mushroomy, and complex. While you can't neatly summarize Chardonnay from Bourgogne, you can start to learn which areas make the styles that you enjoy. If Chardonnay is like tofu, Pinot Noir is like single-origin chocolate or coffee. It absorbs the terroir it comes from more than any other grape in the world, and it's up to the farmer to baby it ever so carefully through the harvest so it can show off the best version of itself. But the results are worth the effort. The Pinot Noirs from Bourgogne are undebatably extraordinary. A quick refresher on Pinot. It's light to medium in body, high in acidity, usually fairly low tannin, and the fruit character lives in bright red to dark red. Cherry, pomegranate, raspberry, black cherry, and strawberry. But just like how putting Chardonnay in a box is hard to do here, the same can be said about Pinot Noir. Each Crémant has a distinct style,
And I'll be honest, there's no flavor that you can't find in Bourgogne Pinot. You can encounter blue and black fruits. How about herbs and spices like thyme, pepper, or cinnamon? Sure. Flowers like violets or roses? Yep. Coffee, mocha, salami, tobacco, licorice, orange peel. If it exists, you can probably find it. But the one thing almost every Pinot Noir here has, a primal earthiness. Soil, moss, mushroom, truffles, and yes, sometimes funk in the best possible way. Bourgogne doesn't have chateaus like other French wine regions. They have domains, and it's a small but important distinction. A chateau is more of what you may think of as a traditional wine estate. A place where there's a winemaking facility, sometimes a grand castle-like structure, surrounded by vineyards that are harvested for use by that winery. But a domain is different. A domain is a winery that usually owns vineyards from many appellations across a wine region. For example, a domain may own 10 vineyards across 10 different appellations and make 10 different Chardonnays from those vineyards. And it's why Bourgogne labels can be confusing to newcomers. Two labels that look exactly the same with only a few words changed can be hundreds of dollars apart in price. And on the flip side, sometimes two different producers can make wine from the same exact grapes. So the label may look different, but the only change inside the bottle is who vinified the wine. So let's break down how to read these labels.
At the end of the day, what we want to determine is where the wine comes from and who made it. Let's start with where it comes from. Vin de Bourgogne will be on most wines, and this just tells you the wine is from Bourgogne. If you don't know any other words on the label, this is how you determine the wine isn't a Bordeaux or Rhone wine, for instance. It also tells you that it's more than likely a Pinot Noir if red, or Chardonnay if white, because that's what they make here. Next, we need to determine where it is on our hierarchy pyramid. If it's Régionale, it'll simply have the region name, like Bourgogne. If it's village level, it will have the village name listed. In both these cases, the official AOC designation will match the bigger text on the labels. If it's a Premier Cru, the wine will still list the village name both on the label and in the AOCs, but will add the Premier Cru designation and usually tell you the specific Premier Cru vineyard the grapes came from. Finally, Grand Cru wines will only list the vineyard name in big bold letters, and the AOC will match, as every Grand Cru in Bourgogne is its own AOC. But what about who makes it? The producer name is often listed in smaller letters up top or below the location information, though there's no hard and fast rules here. Some producers hide their name in tiny text, some like big bold branding. Finally, there will sometimes be other information, like if the vineyard is a monopole, where the grapes were vinified, and if the vineyard is a clos or wall vineyard, and other details, but honestly, I wouldn't worry about them as you start out. The most important info is knowing where the grapes come from and who did the vinification.
The more Bourgogne wines you try, the better you'll get at understanding the labels and knowing your favorite places and producers. And because this region focuses on single Crémant and varietals for their wines, you get purity of fruit. There's no blending of other grapes or vineyard plots. If Bordeaux is like blended Scotch, Bourgogne is single malt. These wines are a true expression of the grapes, terroir, and the year they come from. A moment frozen in time in a bottle.
Eating a meal is great, but learning to cook one yourself, even better. You know, teach a man to fish kind of thing. So back in Beaune, I met Adeline Bourgogne, who runs her tour and cooking class company, Terroirs by Adeline. Hot tip, she's got access to a bunch of wines and winemaker visits you won't be able to get or attend without her, so definitely give her a look up if you're in the area. We took a stroll through her garden to grab some ingredients before heading inside to her studio kitchen, which I am definitely envious of.
This is probably the best product I have never cooked with. So.
Yeah, this is my dream. This whole thing is my dream.
What good is a meal without wine? So joining us was Bénédicte Bonnet from Le Vigneron de Bouxy, which is a cooperative or co-op from the Côte Chalonnaise.
The Grow Up is a collective venture.
Okay.
It is a group of wine growers.
A co-op is a group of vineyard owners that pool their resources and grapes together and then create wine under their own group label. This allows them to combine their resources to handle the winemaking process, assist in distribution, and all in all, leverage economies of scale for the little guy. With so many fractured parcels of land in Bourgogne, co-ops are an important part of the industry here.
Well, that is great. Juicy acidity, great earth character. It's a solid, kind of under the radar, affordable entry-level wine that you don't have to think too hard.
Okay, time for me to get to work.
Okay, so Vince, now we're gonna work on the gougère. So the gougère is a pâte à choux.
You know, pâte de choux. Okay, so maybe I didn't know, but how hard could it be? Start with butter, water, flour, and salt.
Yeah, we just very quickly made a dough.
See?
Wow. All right, now what?
Parfait. Now we're gonna use the mixer.
Throw it in the mixer with some eggs. While the dough is mixing, we chopped our herbs from the garden and added it to our mix along with 12-month aged Comté cheese. Then it was time to pipe, which for someone who doesn't bake and is also a perfectionist was a challenge. Top with more cheese, then bake for 20 minutes at 385.
Hey, wow.
Yeah, they puffed like crazy. This is the part where I usually burn my tongue, refusing to wait. Should we call Benedict?
Yeah, call Benedict.
Oh, Benedict. I'm going for this guy. Oh my gosh, that's great. You know what it reminds you of? There's this place in America called the Red Lobster. And they have these like kind of cheesy biscuits. It's like the best version of that you could possibly find in your life. Light, airy, crispy on the outside, and then with the wine, great, because I mean the cheese is kind of earthy, you get the herbal character.
The gougères were salty and fatty from the cheese and butter, so the high acid wine balanced them perfectly. Plus, the herbal character from the wine matched the herbs in the dough, and this is a local Bourgogne dish, so if it grows together, it goes together. On to our next course and wine.
It's Chardonnay. Montagny Premier Cru Les Quers, village appellation, very mineral wine.
Yeah, I love that. Stone fruity, probably medium body, good medium plus acidity. What do we pair?
Tomatoes. You're gonna do a tomato gazpacho, 3 mustard ice cream.
Wait, you said mustard ice cream?
Mustard ice cream.
Okay.
Okay, mustard ice cream it is. We started with egg yolks, sugar, milk, and cream.
Thought my baking skills were over, but this is a lot of baking technique.
And then went to the 3 mustards, whole grain, Dijon, and wasabi, as well as some chopped ginger and lime zest. Into the ice cream machine for half an hour.
And then through the magic of editing, we're back. We have our ice cream now.
Yes. So then you have the base, which is the tomato gazpacho.
Adeline had made in advance a simple gazpacho, which is cold tomato soup. So all we had to do was plate it up.
Come on, I should open a restaurant. This looks pretty good.
Et voilà, that's it.
I just want to try that on its
Yes.
own. That's really cool. So I just want you to know this was all my idea. Try it out. Get a little of the ice cream too. And here's the thing, normally a tomato dish, we might go with the red wine, right? But because it's lighter and there's cream in there and it's chilled
cold, exactly,
and it's cold,
yeah.
I love it with the Chardonnay.
The high acid Chardonnay cut through the acidic tomatoes and rich fatty ice cream, and the medium-bodied wine matched the weight of the dish. We also contrasted some of the spiced mustard character with the stone fruit flavors of the wine.
We have a Givry Premier Cru Clos Marceau. It's a monopoly, it's 295 hectares. It's a very
Tiny
small.
one.
This vineyard, this Premier Cru, this Premier. It's okay, they'll just yell at me in the comments. This vineyard is known for maybe a bit more structure in the wine?
Yeah, it's more concentrated.
It's got a beautiful earth character.
Yeah, it's not for aperitif.
Where do you go with this?
We're gonna go to duck because it has a fatty skin.
Yeah, literally. I mean, you can see it, right? You can see the fat on the duck.
I'm gonna show you a nice trick to tenderize your meat. Having a bath of sparkling water to the meat.
That tenderizes the meat. So all I do is dump this in.
Go for it. And then you have 2 teaspoons of salt.
Now we wait
Now we're gonna
45
wait 45 minutes.
And we're not afraid with salt
That's
in the
why
kitchen.
I can see that.
If I've learned one thing from chefs, especially chefs in France, it's don't be afraid of butter or salt. All right, here we go. Skin side down.
Skin side out. Excellent. Look at the sound.
Look at that. Look at the fat coming out.
Coming.
And so it's gonna cook in its own fat.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect.
Good.
Look at that. Perfect mid-rare.
Yes.
Adeline made a broccoli and basil puree for the base and a sauce with some of our duck fat, cherries, Pinot Noir, shallots, butter, and veal stock that we poured over top.
First bite for you. This is like Top Chef. She's about to go Gordon Ramsay on me. She's gonna rip it apart. What's up? Hey! I keep my job. That's as good as a pairing as can be found.
This is such a perfect pair. High acid Pinot cut through the fatty, salty duck, and the tannin in this richer style of Pinot stood up to the fat as well. Plus, the weight of the wine matched the dish. We matched flavors with the wine and cherry sauce, and duck and Pinot is always a classic pairing.
This was so much fun. Thank you for opening your kitchen.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for bringing your beautiful wines.
Santé. À bientôt.
Santé. Now this is my kind of bookstore. All food and wine books. That's it, that's all I got. Francisco, this one's for you, 100 pastas. Or do you prefer pasta masterclass? All right, here we go, here's the wine books. These are all books that I don't even know. Oh, hey look, our friend Madeline. Our friend Madeline in French. Wait, look at this. It's a Robert Parker comic book. I don't know what he's saying because it's in French, but he looks like he's having a great time. Look at the maps. Look at all these books with maps. I didn't know this many wine books exist, if I'm being honest. This is wild. This is all Bourgogne, every single one of these books. This is a good one. Dirt Cake and Banyuls wine. It's an unconventional pairing wine book. This one's pretty cool. See, look, they don't discriminate. There's Bordeaux. Every French wine region. I love these. This place is cool. These are like really detailed maps. So that's one vineyard and then block by block by block by block. What is this? French fries? I don't understand. Oh, okay, in case the books are a little 2D for you, we have wine too. This is great and actually very helpful to have the maps. Like if I had a wine shop, I want all these maps, right, by my sections. So I can just point, maybe the reserve section, huh? Yeah, now we're getting into it. Yeah, here's the stuff.
The southernmost region in Bourgogne is Mâconnais, a place that feels distinctly different than the rest. You escape the busier, more prestigious north and enter the French countryside. Rolling hills, charming villages and abbeys, and lots of Chardonnay. At Domaine Sève, I met winemaker Antoine Sève to chat about what makes this area feel, well, peaceful.
Your family has had this property for how long?
Me and my sister, we are the 5th generation. My great-great-grandfather started to buy his first parcel in 1920.
And your parents are still involved in the winery?
They can't retire it completely.
Everywhere I go, all the winemakers say the same thing. They're like, well, I mean, technically I'm in charge, but my parents are not letting go quite yet.
It's a passion, so it's difficult to
walk away completely.
Yeah.
This area, as we were driving here, I mean, it feels different than the rest of Bourgogne.
We can find a lot of valley and etc. with a lot of variation of soil. This is why we can produce different type of wine with just one grape type.
It's mostly Chardonnay. Why is that?
At the beginning, there was not a lot of wine here. They use red wine. And after they tried to plant Chardonnay and they taste and they say, oh, it's better compared to Gamay or Pinot for this area.
Interesting.
So they switched completely to white wine.
Why do you think that is?
The soil. In general, it's more white limestone, clay, marl. The first, it's communal from this village because it's produced in the area of the village of Solutré.
The wines from Mâconnais versus Chalonnais or the Côte d'Or, what makes it different?
It's a little bit more warm and sunny, and it's a little bit more fat.
Yeah, you are 100% right. On the nose, there is still a great minerality, but we're in yellow to tropical fruit land. This isn't, you know, very lime citrusy. This is lemon citrusy, pears, apples, maybe, like I said, even some pineapple. Like we're getting riper.
Yeah, but keep a good acidity to have a good balance. And for this cuvée, We only age it stainless. Mâcon, it's something like you can drink easily, fresh, fruity.
But there's a richness to the mouthfeel, even in stainless, that's pretty remarkable.
We always do the malolactic fermentation to have something very smooth.
You get the rich, creamy butter kind of character, but not so much the flavors of the baking spice from the oak that would overwhelm the natural grape. You can see I liked it. I had my whole taste.
One?
Yeah, you can pour me a little more. You're like the perfect example of a domain versus chateau because we can see it from the winery. So right here, right over there, you make the wine on this property, no matter where it comes from. But you were saying that you have some vineyards over there, past that village. You've got some vineyards over there at the other rock. And then you said you have a little bit of land just right up there, right?
Yeah, we have only 9 hectares, but divide on 24 parcels.
At the top of that hill, you only have like 18 rows.
Yeah.
If this was a chateau, this would be the winemaking facility, and then you'd own all of this. But that's not the way it happens in Bourgogne.
Next up was a Puy-Fuissé Premier Cru.
More well known, but it's really smaller compared to Mâcon. We have now 22 Premier Cru since 2020.
Oh, wow.
So it's completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah, because for the aging, for this cuvée, it's only in barrel.
Yep.
The previous one was only in vats.
They can rival some of the best wines from the Côte d'Or in style and in quality. This smells like what we love about maybe a richer style of Chardonnay. We get the baking spice right on the nose. We get the vanilla. We get the creaminess. We're talking brulee and toasty notes.
Toasty, yeah. Spices. We have minerality, but smooth minerality, not aggressive.
Wow, that is good. And on the palate, very, very savory. Nutty. There's some great hazelnut, kind of almond notes. Whereas the first wine we were talking about the fruit, this wine we get pretty savory.
Yeah, it's less on the fruit. It's
less on the fruit.
It's more complex, it's more rich. The idea to use barrel, it's not to give the oak taste.
Sure.
It's just to help the wine to be more open.
And for people who maybe haven't had a Chardonnay like this is such a great representation of Bourgogne Chardonnay. I mean, if you combine this Chardonnay with this view, this is about as good as it gets.
In case it wasn't clear how much I loved this wine, here's what I said off camera.
This is really cool. That's what Chardonnay should be.
Speaking of off camera, sometimes our best moments in this show occur once we stop rolling. Case in point, Antoine and his sister Mathilde brought out a 2011 vintage of their Puy-Fuissé, and it was singing. The crew and I had it on the patio with some local goat cheese, good company, and sunny weather. Picturesque afternoon in a Mâconnais experience fit for a postcard. I love mustard. Yellow, brown, green, Chinese, English, they're all great to me. But the king of mustards? Definitely Dijon, which is a yellow French mustard that originated in the town of Dijon right up the road. So naturally, I had to head to Moutarderie Fallot in Beaune to learn how they make it. Mustard factories take some getting used to. This place seriously burns your eyes and nose.
Nice. Whew, I'm sorry, my eyes are watering.
Think about if you've ever just taken a bite of too much wasabi, except that that's just the air.
I get emotional with how much I enjoy the mustard.
My guide explained how they make it. They start by curing mustard seeds, vinegar, and salt. At that point, they stone grind the seeds, which you can't see but happens in those big tubs. Next, the mustard either stays with the husk for grain mustard or goes through the mill to become creamy. If it's Dijon, it's made with regular white wine, but they also have some they make with special Bourgogne wine, or vinegar, or other flavors, as I was about to find out.
This is the most quantity of mustard I've seen in one time in my entire life. Oh, look at this, it's a bottling line. Here it gets all packaged up and sent to me. It's like mustardtopia. Oh man, what is this? Oh, it's like a mustard tasting bar.
Yeah.
Whew. It is stronger. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like Guinness is better at the source. The mustard's better at the source. Mmm. I'm into that. Very different character.
Good.
Woo!
Good, yeah.
It is strong. All right, honey mustard.
Yeah.
It is the best honey mustard I ever had.
Yeah.
McDonald's, this is honey mustard.
Okay.
I'm having so much fun.
It's hot.
Oh, that's nice. That's pleasant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that one's good.
Yeah. Yuzu for fish.
Oh my gosh, that is great. What was this last one by? Did we try all of them? Well, I gotta tell you, I've been to wine bars, I've been to beer bars. I think mustard bar is my favorite. This is my new favorite now. I live here now.
Prefer that at the what?
Côte d'Or, Slopes of Gold. Now that's a name. The most prestigious wine area in France, the center of Bourgogne is home to the most famous wineries in the world. And yet, these are farms run by farmers. They're not royalty, they don't have paparazzi, they're a family business making wine. So I decided to meet a few Chassagne-Montrachet winemakers in the manner in which they lived and worked. Not at some fancy meal where their wines are often served, but at a simple picnic near their vineyards. At least, that was the plan until the rain stepped in. So we moved indoors for a tasting led by Adrien Pilot of Domaine Fernand et Laurent Pilot and a few friends. Anne-France Remenet from Domaine Remenet, Simon Collin from Domaine Simon Collin, and Bastien Duvernay from Domaine Coffinet Duvernay. Whew, that's a lot of French names. So sometimes we get to film in beautiful, picturesque locations with perfectly sunny days, and sometimes we get to film in garages. And to me, that's kind of what Bourgogne is, right? It's known as this region that has these ups and downs. And there's a lot of families who have some connections. You're distant cousins, right?
We are distant cousins, as I'm with Bastien.
Yeah. So you have many generations that stayed here, and so everybody is kind of close.
And France is the only one that is an outsider.
She's an outsider. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bastien, tell me about what we're drinking today.
I just opened Chassagne Premier Cru, les blancs chauds dessus. It's a terroir just under Montrachet Grand Cru.
Yeah, so you have the Grand Cru of Montrachet, and then right below it, you have this plot. And your family has been producing wine?
4 or 5 generations.
And you've kind of taken over, and you'll maybe one day pass it down to your kids? Maybe.
If I have kids?
No pressure. Deliciously juicy, bright, fresh.
I really do like the tension in the wine from the 21 vintage.
21 maybe a little cooler.
All the flavor are well balanced, nothing's taking over. It's
no, I love
Thank you, my friend.
You can tell this group of friends weren't used to talking about each other's wines this way, which reinforced what I kind of already knew. They don't see this as a competition, but as a collective village endeavor. If their town succeeds, they all do.
So how long has your family been producing wine?
It was my great-grandfather who created the domain, Pierre Ramonet.
You and your sister run it now?
Yeah, yes.
Very
and my
nice.
cousins too.
What would you say the style of your house is?
We work the wine with the lees, so you can feel the richness. It's just the vineyards.
Oh, right over there?
Yes.
A little bit of that toasty brioche. I think we mentioned tension with this. This may be because of that lees aging, a bit creamier.
Also it's the 20.
Two opposite vintage.
We stopped the vintage 24 of August in 20. And in 21, for us, it was in 17 of September.
Some vintage bring maturity, some other one keep some freshness.
A little leaner style, more linear. This is a little bit fatter, but they're all good.
It's good to have a different vintage because it will be boring if we always make the same.
In a semi-continental climate like Bourgogne, vintage variation is common. But in the eyes of a Bourgogne winemaker, this is okay. They would tell you the goal here isn't consistency. The goal is representing the terroir and the year as accurately as possible.
You have a lot of winemakers in your family, that I know.
It's now roughly 6 estates, so I'm now working on my own. Having the Colin name is a treat, but it also you need to make it out to make your surname.
Sure, yeah. I mean, with great power comes great responsibility,
Exactly.
as they say.
Exactly. I'm farming now 9 hectares. We also farm organic, which I think it's very important to say right now.
Roses and violets and some great floral character. This is a pretty wine.
I think that's the big challenge when you do Chassagne Red. The vines we have and also the area that we farm the Chassagne Red now are making strong and very tannic wine. And you have to be, for me, as much as delicate with the grapes to make easy drinking fruity wine.
So delicate as the winemaker?
Yes, obviously.
Philippe, Marc, Joseph, Pierre-Yves, Jean-Marc. Simon is part of an epic wine family. But after talking to him, I know he's unafraid of the challenge and responsibility of living up to his family name.
What's important to the younger generation in Bourgogne?
Realizing that we are living changes. Climate is obviously the stuff that we see, but the market is changing, the customers is changing.
Before they keep the wine, and now the people really want to drink the wine fast.
We have to respect the nature and to work with it. And then on the wine, I think the style is changing. My father, my grandfather used to extract a lot. And now we are more on the gentle extraction to bring more fruitiness. And then it's a family thing, as they said.
We were appropriately interrupted by the very family we were speaking about, Adrien's grandfather.
Merci.
Hello.
It's the Fernand on the label.
Thank you for letting us use your garage.
Don't speak English. We're here because someone before us, a long time ago, started the business. So it's a part of, we respect that.
I think if we want to look forward, we also need to look back.
Here we are in south of Chassagne. It's Morgeau. As this generation, I try to make a gentle wine. Good balance to taste it as young as old.
Mix of red and blue fruit character. There's a great spice on it as well.
We have 1/3 of the winery in Pommard, where it's a totally different style, different soil. Limestone on the top part, where it's better for the white. Clay on the bottom part, where we grow up the reds. We always say that it takes 20 years to understand the vineyard, the terroir, but I think we will never ever understand all of our vineyard.
The never-ending journey to understand Bourgogne is a common statement I heard from winemakers all over the region. As we finished up, it wouldn't have been a discussion about family lineage without Adrien's father joining the party as well, right? Even if it did interrupt our take.
We know these wines as consumers, and and you come here expecting one thing. You come here expecting this kind of over-the-top, maybe inaccessible region, but as people now see, it's just family businesses. Your passion is making wine and continuing the legacy of the people who came before you, and I think that's something that is really special. So, to the future of Bourgogne, yeah?
Thank you.
If you knew about Bourgogne before watching this, you may have come in expecting a different episode. I did too. It was my first time here, and it's a humbler region than I imagined in my head. There are far fewer luxury hotels, grand tasting rooms, and touristy restaurants than I thought there would be in the most renowned wine region on the planet. Instead, I found some form of the following everywhere I went. Adrien and his father opening some special vintages for the crew and I. Simon and Bastien discussing their dinner plans. And France going right back to work in the vineyard the second filming was over. Family wineries, quaint villages, homey food, and winemakers focused on making and drinking wine above all else. The Roche de Solutré, a giant rock formation breaking from the earth as if to be reaching for the sky. Formed from 150 million year old limestone and thousands of years of erosion and tectonic activity, it's a striking presence in the landscape of southern Bourgogne. People who have a passion for wine often see Bourgogne as the quintessential wine region. Its famed history and ancient geology laid a solid foundation for its success today. And like layers in the rock, previous generations' know-how and wisdom have been passed down to its descendants, slowly building this region up one layer at a time. Today's winemakers know they'll have to do the same, preserve the land for the future, and act as stewards of this knowledge for their children as well. Because of this, wine lovers like me across the globe have a never-ending mountain of exploration to try and ascend. When it comes to Bourgogne, no matter how high you climb, you'll never know it all, never reach the top. But what you do know for certain is that you can come back here again and again and always find something new, something genuine. Winemakers aren't concerned with anything other than the purity of their product. They care about honesty, representing a moment in a bottle. This makes every new trek into Bourgogne predictably unpredictable, every new ascent perfectly imperfect. Bourgogne is full of adventure for those willing to seek it. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time on V is for Vino. Hey, Vince here. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have a moment, follow us on Instagram. And if you really want to support, please consider joining Vino VIP on viasvino.com. It's our members-only club with a ton of benefits. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.